have to sort this out on my own. Without the council. And without you. Stay here any longer. Not now. I have to sort this out on my own. Without the council. And without you. Stay here any longer. Not now. I have to sort this out on my own. Without the council. And without you. Stay here any longer. Not now. I have to sort this out on my own. Without the council. And without you.
Hello there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the most the latest episode of Dyad and the Force. Excited for this one because War of the Bounty Hunters just ended recently, and we are going to talk about it, dive into it, because this has been an excellent crossover event, super exciting. Also, we had some breaking news yesterday, and for anyone who's living under a rock, we're gonna dive into that, and we're gonna talk about the dyad. If the title of this podcast gives anything away, we're pro dyad. Anyways, we're gonna talk about it right now here on Dyad and the Force.
Unseen for generations, a dyad in the Force.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dyad and the Force, episode 49. As Choco mentioned, we have a lot to talk about, but first, we have a very special guest. We, of course, have Chris in the house.
Hello, what have we here?
Yay. So for those uninitiated, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do, your content, and where to find you?
My name is Chris, aka Star Wars Lawyer, on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok. I do primarily Star Wars content, but I like to talk about it from a black nerd perspective, which is why I got my podcast with my friend Chris, Too Black, Too Nerdy. You can find us on everywhere you've listened to podcasts, and I've had both these wonderful people on it before, multiple times actually.
Yes.
So yeah. You can check us out there. And I'm excited to talk about this today. I got a lot to say.
There is a lot to talk about today. Let's shout out everyone in the chat. We have St. Pat, X-Core Gamer Skills, Grey Fade, Guardian of the Wills, Lara Lang, Fern, ASAT Astra. I don't know if you caught my my statement, Fern, on the TikTok live, but I did say the next time you're in LA, I think it's in November, hit me up and we'll hang out and we'll try to get Choco in on it as well.
Absolutely.
And then we have Brooke. Brooke says, Chris. I added the spice on that, Chris, not Brooke.
I actually have a quick question for Chris. I mean,
Yeah.
well, on Too Black, Too Nerdy, do you ever are you like too black, too nerdy, like pull out? I feel like it needs hand signals. You know what I mean?
It was interesting because we got to, so we've been doing this podcast for a little over 5 years now. So when we talked about it and we got to the first episode and we were just like, wait, we need a name. And I was just like, well, there are two of us and we're two black nerds. So I'm going to go with Too Black, Too Nerdy. And like we say it on our first podcast, like this is probably a placeholder. It won't say our name. And here we are.
I love it.
We got Lord Dago Veyre in the house. Let's go.
Hey.
Let's go.
And also with that said, we do, with Brooke, we do have to go to our card for Brooke. Far Away Factory, at Far Away Factory on Instagram, B_Dazzler, or I think no, she has a personal account on Instagram too, but B_Dazzler on TikTok, Etsy.com/shop/Far Away Factory. Show her some love, get yourself some sick ass shoes and shirts and jackets and earrings and all that good stuff. All right, so what's up, guys? What's been going on with your lives before we get started on this Secrets of the Sith discourse?
Woo.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, update in my life. I am not in my usual home of Michigan. I am in Georgia because my brother and sister-in-law just had another girl. So I am now an uncle of 4 nieces.
And congratulations.
Nice.
Yeah. The 3 that are not teeny tiny are beating me up, even though I just bought one, a Kylo Ren lightsaber from Master Allen.
always great to shout out Master Allen Level Up Lightsaber, who recently sponsored our Trivia Rush. Great, lightsaber menu
The force is strong
store.
with this one.
I mean, he goes live and ships and packs and ships your stuff live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, we are affiliates of his, but that's not by accident. I've been burned before in the lightsaber department. I got a lightsaber and it came like 4 months late, and it was the wrong one. And even for the wrong one, it was also the wrong color, and it didn't work well, and nothing on it was seated properly. And so, So we're talking to him. I was like, yeah. Before I promise, I need to see that. Like, give me the product, But awesome stuff. Awesome guy.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jedi Master DePaul for the $5 ramen drop, dropping some love here for some of my favorite people from TikTok, or TikTok is the way he spells it. Always appreciate the love, DePaul. We love you here on Dyad and the Force. And you still have the most preeminent invitation to the ramen party.
Absolutely.
Soda Man says some sweet Sith sneakers. Hells yeah. And then of course Brooke being unabashed. Yay! Give me your money. Any news for you, Choco? Nothing happening.
Well, I mean, do want to shout out all new nerds here. Levi Bond is a good friend of the channel, but there's 3 members over there, and they're always pushing out awesome stuff, and they're just good guys. But for me, I was very much inspired by this last week on the High Ground podcast. If you guys aren't already checking that out, I have been inspired to create a lot more content, and I know I keep saying it, but I've actually have recorded a decent amount of stuff over the past 2 days. Hopefully we'll be blowing some stuff up, and just having more fun in the community. Additionally, if you guys haven't seen it, there was an amazing duet of the lullaby from Daniel Jose Older's most recent High Republic book, Trail of Shadows, and we had some awesome duets on it. It's incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out.
Absolutely. We had it was Choco starting out with the lead guitar, and then I came in with the rhythm, and then we had Chrysanthi, we had Barikwa Wookie, and then we had Dad the Bounty Hunter, Mace Awindu, and Bad Recaps, all collaborating and adding their musical chops to the lullaby, and it came out fantastic. I encourage Choco to also duet the final version and just react live. It was a wonderful product of collaboration between everybody. Thank you to Daniel Jose Older for providing the basis for which we collaborated, the lullaby itself, and for writing such a thing, and for letting everyone know that if you listen to Tempest Runner Restitution, that part, I think it's towards the beginning of that chapter, you can hear them.
You can hear an old crazy woman singing it in the background. Interesting how they tie everything together.
Yeah. What's up, Brian with the bread? Brian with the beard? Brian with the bread beard? Brian with the beard bread? Always good to see you around. Hello there. I just read that in an English accent. I don't know if that's actually what you said.
Did you just say hello?
Hello there.
Anyone with the labyrinth? No? Okay.
I feel like that happens every week.
Well,
You're just like, anyone? No?
In the labyrinth, that's the very first, that's outside of the labyrinth, and she meets a little worm, and he goes, hello, and she goes, did you just say hello? And he goes, no, I said hello, but close enough. And then it starts. So
I feel like any other week when Choco would be like, anyone, I'll be in the chat like, yeah, me. And now when I'm here, I'm just like, no.
That's true.
All New Nerd said, I appreciate it. Anyone see Dune yet? I have seen Dune.
Yep.
It is fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed it. What about you, Chris?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.25 out of 5 gavels.
Right on. Okay, the
Nice.
gavels. We're working with the gavels.
So where my mom lives, in their apartment complex, they have like a big giant theater that they can rent out. And so they were like, oh, we're going to rent it, and then we ended up not being able to make it. And I was saving Dune for that private theater showing, and it just didn't happen. So I have not seen it yet, but soon, very soon.
All right. I mean, I encourage anyone who has HBO Max or is capable of going to a theater safely to go see Dune. It is wonderful. Highly recommend. Brian says some kind of mix between hello there and hello puppet. I hope I said that right.
Soda Man, I appreciate you. Oh, Soda Man got it. Oh, also,
There he is. Yeah.
another thing to add that I've been doing recently is the season 4 of Young Justice just started, so I'm on that, as well as Fina, Pirate Princess.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. Any weebs in the chat? I know Chris is a weeb. Fina, Pirate Princess. Watch that. It is really, really good. That's got my full blessing. Full
I'm
steam
gonna write
ahead.
that down.
Fena, Pirate Princess.
Done.
Xcore says it's on HBO Max. I'll definitely watch it. Yeah, I usually, whenever it is on HBO Max, I usually do a watch along. It's been weird, but like my watch along programming has been completely laser focused on the Harry Potter series for Choco. But yeah, let's move on to the Secrets of the Sith discourse. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts on what this means for Star Wars when, Secrets of the Sith is a canon reference book that came out in the perspective of Palpatine, and then changes a lot of things, not majorly, but it changes a lot of context.
I don't know about change. It changes context. I wouldn't say it changes things, but it adds new information, as Star Wars always has done.
Absolutely. Now, so the current discourse is that like Disney is trying to change the originals and change the prequels to suit the sequels, but they've always done that, and it's a problem now because it's Disney, or is it a problem now because you are such a student of the lore that you see an actual like disconnect? I'm unsure. Choco, why don't you drive the conversation, because I already made a video on it. Everyone who has seen it knows my thoughts.
Yeah, for me, and Star Wars Theory actually brought me on this stream to talk about it. Of course, at that point in time, I had not read the entire book. I was only halfway through, and I was like, "Where is this Dyad stuff?" I thought it was like taking over all of Star Wars. It's on the second to last page in the book, and to me, it didn't seem that big of a deal. I mean, it just seemed part of the growing mythos that is Star Wars. You watch A New Hope, and when he uses the Force, you see Luke block some bolts from the training droid. You see him fire the shot. You see a mind trick. Next movie, we see telekinesis. That's new. Episode 6, we see Force lightning for the first time. That's new. And so when you move forward into the prequels, all of that stuff is now part of the mythos and is in it. So, additionally to that, the concept of the Dyad is basically a beefed up Force bond, which we got to see in the Old Republic. We got to see Revan and Bastila connected through the Force and not understand why they're seeing each other's dreams and memories and stuff like that. We got to see the same thing with the Jedi Exile and Freya, or Treya. I start to bounce back and forth because of the name.
Yeah.
And we've also gotten to see this, in different points throughout Legends. These different connections that people have, and this is just expanded upon it. Of course, the word dyad is not mentioned until Rise of Skywalker, but the connection between Kylo Ren and Rey started in The Force Awakens and then deepened in The Last Jedi. The reason that the word dyad wasn't mentioned makes sense, because no one knew what it was called except for
Palpatine.
So of course a book written by Palpatine is gonna reference it. He's the only person that knows what it is, and it would make sense since he was like, "Oh, a dyad, like what's all this then?" And then explains, "Oh, a power unto life itself." Obviously, he's gonna provide the most information because he's the only one that knows it, and we were told that in the movie. I don't know. I think it's a weird thing for anyone to complain about, in my opinion.
What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I went on a little bit of a journey with this until this week, because I read an article about it before I was able to actually read it, and the way that article framed it was more like, this is the sole reason of what the Sith were trying to do with the rule of two, and I was like, I don't know if I like that. So then Brian, because I don't have the book yet, Brian with the beard, he gave me like the text of it, and I was like, okay, that's different. Because like you were saying earlier, it informs the context of what, Plagueis and Palpatine were trying to do, but it also makes sense in the scheme of what their plans were in Legends. Now, Plagueis isn't really trying to create life with a dyad, but immortality, I would think would still be able to be achieved, because if you are able to transfer life between each other, if someone's on the verge of death and you're like, yep, let me give you some life, you get brought back. That's a form of immortality. So I don't think it changes too much of the lore. And when I'm seeing people complain about it, it's one thing if you're saying you don't like how they're updating the lore, updating the context around the lore. But to me, if you are a fan of Legends, or you're a fan of the EU, and you're saying that you don't like that Disney is doing it, that's disingenuous.
Yeah.
And to your credit, I mean, what you're saying is exactly in the Plagueis book. Plagueis basically tells Palpatine, all right, here's the plan. I'm going to heal you, and you're going to heal me, and then we're just going to roll together forever. You'll be the face of the operation. I'll be behind the scenes running the banks and the money and stuff like that. They were like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, except less evil. No, but that was literally their plan of like, yeah, we'll transfer life force back and forth into each other, and this will kind of be the end of the Sith line. It's just going to be us forever. And then Palpatine's like, that's a good idea. Here's some poison.
Yeah, that's nice. It's wrong, but that's nice.
I mean, but like, so to take the conversation back to like breaking lore or changing things because this wasn't a thing. And you probably know who I'm talking about, but just this unwillingness to learn. First of all, the whole immortality thing that was broken a long time ago. Like if you're making a case for Darth Plagueis and what you know about that book, and saying that it changes the prequels and what you know so significantly that it just doesn't work, then you have to go into the EU and start to, understand how the ritual of anathema destroys their chase for immortality way before any of this happens. Because Plagueis is like, we want immortality. Palpatine wants, I want immortality. But like 5,000 years ago, someone already had immortality. You know?
I didn't even think about it like that, but that's very true.
But
Valkorion is like, yeah, hold my beer.
and it just goes to show, like, everything that's added to lore has a place to recontextualize or contextualize something. And this is partly why, you know, EU could never work in canon. Is like there's so many like planetary Sith lords in the EU that just break things. And I mentioned this in my video. Like, you talk about the Dyad force healing ruining Anakin's sacrifice, but you don't talk about Cade and Crate like having that healing and resurrection ability as well. Like, that stuff existed before Disney bought Star Wars, and that stuff didn't break the lore. Like, Dark Transfer didn't break anything.
I mean, I was healing people with Yoda on Battlefront 2 from day one, so
Right.
Exactly.
The force healing thing has always never bothered me, considering how much it was utilized in every Star Wars game since like 2000 or 1999. And then, you know, like Cade Skywalker, who is one of my least favorite Legends characters ever. Don't ask me why. But like, he had his like dark essence. Okay, thank you. His dark essence. But yeah, his dark essence transfer, whatever it's called, to heal people. It's just that if Anakin had that type of ability with the Force, which he doesn't, because Anakin isn't as much of a giver as other people. He's not as selfless as his whole story arc shows. He's kind of selfish. He's like, I don't want to let this go. I don't want to lose you. I can't lose you. Versus doing what, you know, needs to be done. So that's why when you know, when he has that raw power, yeah, that comes naturally to him. But the nuance does not.
Well, and then there's also the additional factor of like, every time George Lucas references it, personally, it's not healing. It's trying to bring her back from the dead. Like, he's certain she's going to die, and he's going to be able to bring her back. And gets lost in the, well, if I could bring her back from the dead, then I can do anything, and I can rule the galaxy and all this stuff, and that lust for power. But it's also the same thing is the midichlorians. Now, I mean, when I was growing up, everyone hated the prequels. I literally thought I was the only person on planet Earth that like could enjoy watching them and understand these are not perfect, but they are enjoyable. And midichlorians was one of the first things people would go to. And you know what Lucasfilm did? Is they didn't back down. You know, midichlorians were part of the mythos now, and they will always be, and will continue to be expanded upon. And Secrets of the Jedi, there's a whole section on midichlorians. The Mandalorian made M count cool. Like, people just started saying, oh yeah, this is M count after one episode. But that's just how it works. And I think what it comes down to in the end is like, hey guys, the sequels are part of Star Wars forever. They're not going anywhere. And you want to ignore them, but they're a part of it. So things will reference them, and you have to let that go. It's okay. It's okay that they'll be referenced.
Absolutely.
And I also find it wild for the same people that are saying like, oh, this breaks the lore, or this ruins the rule of two. And it's just like, there are so many things in Legends that disregard the rule of two, you know, from Star Killer to Asajj Ventress to technically the Plagueis book, because, you know, Palpatine had Maul as an apprentice while Plagueis was still alive. So there are 3 Sith there.
Let's look at the whole reason George Lucas hates Mara Jade in the first place. Jedi don't marry. And that's the first thing that the EU authors did. And they broke, like, someone replied to a tweet for me today, and they said they hate the Disney trilogy because they broke old Lucas lore. And I was like, that was broken like 30 years ago. with Mara Jade, with everything that had healing, the Sith coming back, the lost tribe of the Sith, everything about EU that the sequel trilogy and Disney canon is doing, but on diet, like on like lesser like proportions, happened way before Disney. And like, it's just everybody accepted it back then, but now it's an issue because it's Disney. And it's less pronounced. So everybody and their mother being able to do dark transfer and heal themselves from death, don't ask me, compared to a mythic dyad being able to do it. They're breaking lore. And then we have like the arguments that they are changing the prequel trilogy. They're changing the other trilogies. Nothing changes. This information from Palpatine's perspective is like his favorite food. You know, when you think about what his larger plans were for the galaxy, it's good to know that he once tried to create a dyad with Anakin, but he failed. Elusive connection it was. I started to talk like Yoda. It was an elusive connection, and he failed. So he went on with his original plan, to rule the galaxy with him as his enforcer. It doesn't change anything. So if like you learn that Luke hates burgers, that's literally the thing. It does not change the story at all. It's just an insight.
I hope that in the new book that has Luke and Lando, I hope Lando like offers him hot chocolate and Luke's like, I hate this. And then the whole Legends community would just be like, oh no, they changed it. He doesn't like hot chocolate anymore.
Yeah. The rule of two is more like guidelines. Well, the rule of two didn't really have much. The framework was just one to hold, one to covet, and it was there to kind of keep their numbers down so that they could thrive in the shadows. But having this doctrine like enhances it.
So what's funny, okay, so when George Lucas talks about the rule of two, like, and I don't know, I'll have to make a video on it or something like that and show the footage. He just says, yeah, there can only be two, and but the other one is always trying to recruit someone else to take down the master. And you're like, so does that break it already? Like, everything we know about the rule of two essentially comes from Legends as well. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. You can pick and choose, but like at the end of the day, understand that all the information that was provided for us in the sequels is now part of the Star Wars mythos. So rather than saying this doesn't match up with what I thought, you have to accept new information and include it, and factor it in. And hopefully we can get these, Mike Zero charlatans and stuff and stop believing when they say, oh, the world between worlds is going to retcon it. And it already has, like if people are always keep saying things like, well, they don't exist to me. Well, then, yeah, you're going to be irritated because they do exist and you're going to be reminded of them if you keep watching stuff. That's just how it is. Like, you've done this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to D McKinney 248 for the subscription. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, the lore is always going to evolve. The story is always going to evolve. The galaxy is just going to get bigger and bigger. Especially with War of the Bounty Hunters, which we're going to talk about later in the episode. The story is never going to be just Tatooine. We're going to get new planets. We're going to explore the unknown regions. We're going to go into wild space. And we're going to learn more about the universe. And it's okay to update your lexicon. It's okay to update your Star Wars Britannica. Any final thoughts on this discourse? I mean, I think it's just ridiculous.
It's weird because it ties into your tweet from earlier this week where, you were posting about, just because you're not liking the Disney stuff doesn't make you more of a fan, or doesn't make people that like the Disney stuff more. They're liking more Star Wars than you are currently, but people completely miss the point. I think it's just because they have, it's like the things with the High Republic. They have such a blinders on with how the sequel trilogy turned out that they're not really looking at anything with a fair shake. They're just like, oh, this is all terrible. And if you want to be mad, that's more on your health. You know, like it's not worth it. Star Wars is supposed to evoke a good feeling, and if all you can feel about it is anger, then maybe you should just stick with what brings you joy and stop trying to take that joy away from someone else.
Absolutely. Darthman or Kenny says, my hope is that the Acolyte will shed some light with the Sith now with this book out. Yeah, we're in sore need of Sith lore in terms of canon, because the Sith lore in Legends or in the EU is rather screwy.
I heard there was a guy that ate planets.
Shut up. I mean, well, speaking of EU and its and continuity, like, and this goes into our next topic, which is, of course, everyone's, clamoring over the news. If you think about it, if people had their way with EU being the source material, AHSOKA does not exist. And that's where, like, the contradictions pile up. Because they started writing New Republic books and JO books, and then they started doing Clone Wars, and like all of a sudden Anakin has a Padawan, and there's no story of her in those times. So
Yep. Also, Maul doesn't come back, but we don't have Cal Kestis or Kanan Jarrus.
so yeah, shifting focus to this new news that's coming out. Let's go to these few right here. The Hollywood Reporter is, of course, it has an exclusive report that Hayden Christensen, no, I don't want to shop for Levi's jeans. Returning to Star Wars and going to be in the AHSOKA TV show. Now, we just did like a Dyad reacts to this. We talked about it. So Chris, I definitely want you to vamp on this news. What are your thoughts? How is he going to be, included in AHSOKA? And what do you want to see?
So first off, I'm going to just say, if I had my Filoni hat, it'd be on, because it'd be prepare for pain. Because with the inevitability of Anakin coming back, unless they stick strictly with flashbacks, we're going to get Force Ghost Anakin meeting AHSOKA. And they're going to have a lot to talk about. And there's going to be a wisdom that Anakin now has because he's one with the Force, that I would say will probably be like, one or two last lessons to teach AHSOKA before he probably won't see her again until she's one with the Force. And I think part of that will probably be teaching her how to become one with the Force, because he probably knows how to do that now. And so if AHSOKA is going to be more, I think more of like a way seeker versus a traditional Jedi in that regard, that he is going to, or this is going to be her sort of like shedding being his apprentice and becoming her own person in her own right. Not a part of the rebellion, not Fulcrum, just Ahsoka Tano.
That's actually not bad at all. I mean, I feel like with this news, we're finally gonna get the reunion, and the Force Ghost reunion. I said this in our reaction that it's going to be very, very emotional to finally see her reaction to that moment. If we do get a flashback to like Return of the Jedi, because AHSOKA is 5 years after, if we do get a flashback to that moment where Anakin returned and Ahsoka's like off on her own, and then she's, I don't know, she's meditating, and then like boom, Anakin, you're here again. That's gonna be so emotional. I might cry truckloads of tears.
There was a fan art comic that was, I think, like 4 or 5 panels about Luke meeting Ahsoka, and Ahsoka seeing Luke and saying like, "You're the spitting image of your father," and she's like, "I wish you could have met Anakin," and Luke was like, "I did meet him. He came back at the end," and you see like Ahsoka like crying. And then Anakin comes back as a Force ghost and says Ahsoka, and Ahsoka just goes through like the 5 stages of grief in like one panel, and she has like this anger at him because of what he did. And Luke is like, "No, don't be like him. Don't go down that road." And then it ends with the 3 of them and Force ghost Obi-Wan around a campfire laughing together.
Oh man.
all right. I'm gonna need you to find this.
Hold on, let me send it to you.
No, for me, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Obviously, the flashbacks are a big one. But one thing I do hope this explores is the Ahsoka episode of The Mandalorian was called The Jedi.
Yeah.
Last time we saw it was Ahsoka saying, "I'm no Jedi," and I think that she has come back, and I think that she is a way seeker now. And we see she's carrying the Silka beads once again, and I think their conversation might be considered like knighthood for her, but I could absolutely see her not being able to be, because of what she's gone through and what she's seen, to be part of the Jedi Order, at least a new order that Luke is forming. Whether it's too painful for her, or she says, "What we need is something new. I don't want to bring any of this stuff with us." And I could also potentially see her like, "Man, Luke reminds me so much of Anakin that I have a hard time dealing with this." So I want to see if that conversation can be a catalyst for some of this growth in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be a flashback though.
Alyssa Grace says, "I will definitely bawl my freaking eyes out." We're fixing to get a lot of tears, a lot of emotions with Obi-Wan and with Ahsoka. I said this in my live earlier. I'm just imagining a point in Obi-Wan where there's a flashback and we get a live action depiction. And this was coming from a person who was asking, "Do you think we'll see Maul in Obi-Wan?" And I said, if we get a flashback of Lawless, do you think people will appreciate seeing Lawless in live action?
I know a few people that would appreciate it, but also hate it.
Thanks, I hate it. Is the proper response?
Have you mentioned the Sky Guy Insta post? Oh, you mean this post by Rosaria Dawson, who says, "The Sky Guy, they know. See you soon, Snips." That seeing that almost made me tear up.
Yeah.
Because she's in character, and then Sky Guy and Snips. Oh man.
That's going to be the first time we hear Sky Guy in about 14 years.
You're right. Although we've all said it in passing ourselves.
Yeah.
But the in 14 years, the official Sky Guy coming back to the Star Wars universe. Oh man.
I sent the comic to y'all in the chat if you want to. I don't know if you want to pull it up or not, and let everybody just cry a little bit in the chat.
Let's in the Discord.
Yeah, in the Discord.
Let us check it out. Oh, we're going to Reddit.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many possibilities, though. I mean, if we can get flashbacks, because I would also love to see, like, what if they cast, a young Ahsoka, and I just had a big whiteboard fall off my wall. Awesome. But what if they cast a young Ahsoka and we can get flashbacks to them during the Clone Wars and like seeing when Ahsoka is looking at Grogu, she sees all of the things of like, it may be better just to let his gifts fade away if he doesn't have like an actual master. Like she knows what it's like. I want that. I need that conversation. I need to get those insights that Anakin's gonna give her of like, I want Anakin to be like, yeah, Mace Windu was right. Literally everything they said, everything that they feared, all happened. They said, hey, you know, you're a kind of an emotional guy. I don't think you're ready to be on the council, right? And you should like watch your emotions and all that stuff. And he's like, no, I got this. He did not have this. I want to see that admission.
For young Ahsoka, Laura Harrier.
I was actually looking at Leslie Grace from the Batgirl casting that we saw in DC fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like a younger Rosario Dawson, and they're both, I think, half Hispanic, right, or half Latina.
No idea.
Or a live action flashback at the last meeting with him as Vader from Rebels. No, you know what would be awesome is a live action flashback of Ahsoka in the Lothal Temple. When Anakin is like, you abandoned me, you failed me.
Do you know what I've become?
Yeah. It's just gonna, man. If you're trying to swear off Disney Star Wars for some like weird pedestal elevated position, like I'm a true fan because Disney is just a corporation that's milking Star Wars, and you are missing all of this amazing Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. Like, this is Star Wars we're talking about, and you're missing it.
No, they're gonna watch it and say, "Oh, this is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau saving Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy is not a part of this. She doesn't know these shows exist."
That's also fair. I can see them saying that. I'm just thinking about all of the Star Wars we're getting more Ahsoka, but more than that, more Ahsoka and Anakin in live action. Anakin and Obi-Wan live action. And y'all think that Star Wars being dug into a grave, like Disney is ruining it? Like, come on, man. I know
Disney can't afford to ruin it.
I know we're all based, and we love to talk about like corporations and like money, but
I mean, you're saying like they say it as if like Dave Filoni doesn't work for the corporation. It's like I'm so confused. Yeah, these corporations are gonna ruin it. But have you been to Galaxy's Edge? It's Rise of Resistance was fun, but I hate it.
I just know that like Star Wars is as big as ever. And they're not just like putting out like just things that say Star Wars so you spend money. They're giving us stories that we want. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. I don't even know why they wanted Boba Fett. But as someone who has come to appreciate Boba Fett from The Mandalorian, I now realize he has a lot of potential story-wise. But at the end of the day, this is like, you can call me a shill all you want. I would love that shill money, but at the end of the day, enjoying Star Wars doesn't make you a shill. It makes you devoted, and you can criticize what you don't like. You can disagree with story decisions all you want, but kind of swearing off Star Wars doesn't make you a fan. It just doesn't. At the end of the day, it just kind of makes you kind of a. I'll quote a quote from, I forget who said it, but there's a nice quote that says, "The content soul is a stagnant soul," and I say that to anyone who is unwilling to evolve with the stories, simply because it's Disney.
Yeah, if you don't blow air and oscillate, you're not a true fan.
Yeah, I love that gift too. I like to post that a lot. Here's a true fan. And as X-Core Gamer Skill says, I'm a true fan because I spin at 1350 RPM and move through 235.
It's a great range.
Yeah. Why are you talking trash about my man Element 7? Who's talking trash about me? Who? But I like, but I say that with the most, I say this with the most like heavy heart. If you swear off Star Wars, that doesn't make you a fan. Now, I'm not saying anyone out there is not a fan of Star Wars. What I'm saying is it doesn't make you more of a fan for swearing off Star Wars. It's like saying that, oh, I'm a fan of Star Trek, I just don't watch it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like that. And in this community, we like to say that no matter where you come from, no matter how much of Star Wars you like, no matter what your favorite movie is, how you got into Star Wars, you're all fans, so long as you are enjoying Star Wars. That's just. Oh, why am I talking? I thought you were calling me your man, Brooke. I am so sorry. I'm talking trash about Boba Fett. Yes, I am. Maybe not like tag me after my man. But no, I'm talking about like Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett, the one that got like yeeted into the Sarlacc pit. Like there was no backstory for him whatsoever.
Hey, in Legends, as soon as he got out, he ended up falling back in.
And so, like, going forward from there, I was like, why is everybody a big fan of Boba Fett? But of course, when he showed up in Mandalorian and he started whacking people with, what do they call those? The gaffer sticks?
The gaffy sticks?
The gaffy sticks. I was like, dang! So I became a fan of Boba Fett for sure after that.
He ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
Yeah, I wasn't talking trash about Boba Fett. I was just saying, like, his old story was not there to have like a the past tense of yeet is you are, huh?
I thought it was Yote.
Yeah,
he got yatted. He got yat.
You got yoted.
Sodaman says, I love the people who tell me that since I wasn't born before Star Wars and saw the OT in theaters on release, I will always be a fake fan.
Who says that? Let's get him.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, if that's
What
the
the
case,
damn
then
hell?
I feel like, if that's the case, then I'm a legacy true fan because, like, my parents saw it in theaters. So I think, and if someone introduced you to Star Wars, then they are the master to your apprentice, and, they are what we grow beyond. So, I feel like it just goes on. It's a generational story.
I mean, that would mean like billions of people are not Star Wars fans.
That would mean some of the actors in the prequels probably aren't Star Wars fans.
Choco, bring up the numbers for like how many people saw Star Wars 1977 in theaters. Like what were the numbers for that box office?
The box office sale numbers?
Yeah.
Because it's like number 3 all time.
No, it's not.
Unadjusted for inflation?
I mean, well,
or adjusted for inflation, I mean.
I'm talking about the current list of like highest gross of all time. I think like Endgame is up there.
Well, wouldn't you adjust for inflation? Endgame is brought down because capitalism.
Yeah, at the same time, if you are going to think of that adjustment, you also have to think about the different times where movies that were put back into theaters much later. So it's.
Well, just give me the numbers for the initial premiere. I'm not looking for the sales numbers for a point. I'm looking for the number of people.
Okay, let's see here. Worldwide was 775 million worldwide.
And what was the average price for a movie ticket back then in 77?
No clue.
We'll just go with $10, okay? And let's just imagine that 75.7 million people saw the movie. Now, of course, there were multiple showings and stuff like that, but that's just like that's just a ballpark. 75 million saw it in theaters. That would mean how many people? How like 7 billion?
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah.
That would mean that less 75 million are not fans of Star Wars. That's such a weird, qualifier. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, Soda Man. I know you don't need me to say it, but screw him. You know, everyone's a fan in this chat. Everyone's a fan who enjoys Star Wars. If you see Mandalorian or Rebels tomorrow, you are a fan today. Element 2024. I'm just kidding. But yeah, let's move on to unless you guys have any final thoughts on this matter.
I do not.
I'm ready for war.
Yes, let's move on to the War of the Bounty Hunters. This, I don't know if you guys want to talk in abstracts or if you want to avoid or be as ambiguous as possible. But what are your feelings on War of the Bounty Hunters? It's ended now. What does it change for you in terms of the overall scope of Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, Chris?
Quite honestly, it doesn't change much anything for me, which is unique because there's this story, and I knew a little bit about what happened in Legends, what they said happened during the time, but I think it's showing, it's fleshing out a universe that doesn't really change the original trilogy like people are claiming. I remember when it first came out, people were just like, well, how are they going to fit all of this within the year that it happened? I was like, well, how did they fit all the things in Legends? And the characters
Clone Wars is 7 seasons,
right. you can fit things where you need to. Time is screwy in Star Wars, we all know this. But I think that the characters that are in their current runs in the comics being fleshed out and being involved in these stories, it was a beautifully well done story where it could weave in different characters and have everyone having their own moments to shine, everyone getting their own development, getting more appreciation for some of our favorite heroes, Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewie, some of our favorite anti-heroes, Sana, Dr. Aphra.
Did you say Doc Ock? I'm just kidding.
Bringing back my favorite bounty hunter of all time,
Dengar?
Dirge. Dirge.
But I mean, just to be ambiguous, they brought him back, and then they were like, "Bye,
Yote."
He can come back.
Where's Yote?
He is very hard to kill. He can come back.
That's true. No, a lot of things can happen in a short amount of time. What's the time frame for the 2 seasons of Mandalorian? It was over less than 6 months, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty small.
Yeah, we could do 5 seasons of War of the Bounty Hunters, and it would just be taking place over the course of 4 weeks.
And that's the other thing. Since there were so many different comics and different tie-ins, that it really doesn't have to take a long time. You know what I mean? We're watching this through the perspective eyes of 20 different people. You know?
Yeah, I'm going to go hang out with my sister. Take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, X-Core Gamer Skills. If you have time to come back with your sister, please do so. We'll all hang out together. I think my favorite thing about the War of the Bounty Hunters is just
Kira's arms.
yeah, just well, Kira in general, but also that last panel of the last issue where it just kind of like blows up the size of the universe in a way where like you think about ESB and ROTJ and you're like, okay, Boba Fett left with Han and now is with Jabba. And this is like the thing where people read one issue and they're like, well, how does that even work? That doesn't fit into continuity. It was like, give it time. There's other issues to come out. Things will tie in, and finally he's at Jabba's palace. So ROTJ is perfectly fine. And now we have the Bausch comics, or Boosh, Moose Boosh. I don't know what do you guys say? Bausch?
I've been saying Bausch.
I say Bausch as well.
Okay, so we have the Bausch. Issue 1 is out. We're getting IG-88 soon. And like it's awesome to think that, and I truly believe this is all going to connect with Book of Boba Fett, because there's gotta be a reason why people are awaiting the dawn. The dawn is here, and like Crimson Dawn is everywhere, and that includes people from the sequels, people from the prequels. Like this panel, without spoiling anything, is just massive. Everyone is Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, it makes me think of what was it, the second James Bond movie? Well, the second of the Daniel Craig ones, where they're talking about their organization. Like, the first thing you should know is we're everywhere. And then, like, the guard in the room shoots at him. Like, I don't think you'd be in the room. Like, I don't know. It just makes me laugh. But like, I actually think this did an extremely good job of tying, because we don't have much in this time period, and a lot happens. And looking at the films, it doesn't make sense if you're only looking at the films. So like, yeah, you let this new information wash over you, because when Luke got his butt whooped big time.
Yeah, that says Vader. What I think it says.
Yeah, when Luke got his butt whooped by Vader, like that hurt him. But in Return of the Jedi, he was like the man. He wasn't afraid to be turned in, and this kind of bridged that gap partially of him understanding, okay, I'm not ready to face him. So next thing we're gonna get probably is some sort of training montage where he's gonna get better. He's gonna understand that he's gonna need to use the Force. He's like, Vader is here for me, but he's not trying to kill me, so I'm gonna use that to draw him out. That's why he turns himself in Return of the Jedi, and is like, you're not going to kill me. Soon, the Emperor will be dead, and all of us here will be dead, and all this stuff. I don't know. They actually did a really good job building this world and playing off of each other.
Yeah. And apologies for laughing. Luke from the Podwats podcast came in with the huge pooping in. I thought that was funny. Shout out to Julia Christine. Hello. How is everyone? We are all doing well. We just got done talking about the Dyad and the discourse surrounding it, and the news about Anakin and AHSOKA, and now we're at War of the Bounty Hunters. It's just so interesting to kind of see how this run has propelled Kira in such a way where the last time we saw her, she was kind of like subservient to Dryden. And then we were like, oh, post-credit scene. Was it a post-credit? No, it was the end of the movie. Sorry. Got my MCU and Star Wars stuff mixed up. We saw that she was under the Shadow Collective with Maul. And now we have Crimson Reign, which is going to show that, at least with War of the Bounty Hunters, we see that Kira has been orchestral, or has been instrumental in a lot of things going the way they go, because she's like doing all of these things behind the scenes, instigating this auction with Han. She wanted Han to be returned to the rebels, right? She wanted to rescue him, but that was like at the back of her mind, setting up like the bounty on Boba, and it's just awesome to see how proliferating Crimson Dawn is now, and Kira's involvement in exploding their clout and influence.
Also, shout out to Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi, the old video game. Chris, I know you played it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I actually mastered that game. And but watching Kira fight in this comic, she was fighting a bit like Arden Lynn in that game, and that made me super happy. And just seeing that little tie-in, it's such a small thing, but I don't know, it just shows a lot of love. Yeah,
so I would say this. So I don't think it's not widely known that I'm not the biggest fan of Solo, but this made me go like, okay, Kira, okay, all right.
Say that in the Vader voice, because that's exactly what he was doing. He was like, "You have training. This is impressive. I'm falling in love."
That comic came out on my birthday, and I remember like the week before when they tweeted out like that panel, and it was just comments of, why are they? They were like, this is gonna be Ahsoka versus Maul all over again. Their pet girl is gonna beat Vader. I was like, y'all must be stupid if you think she's gonna beat Vader. Like, come on. We've seen Vader toy with a whole bunch of people across because he wants to see what you can do. Because as
survive him,
right?
I loved how he was impressed, and like he acknowledged her, but then at the end of the day, he was like, at the end of the day, it's just Teras Kasi, and you don't have the Force. Which I do have a question though. Is she not manipulating a Sith holocron in one of those panels?
That's what I had a question about, because I wasn't entirely sure.
I'm not entirely sure either, because my Britannica says she's not Force sensitive. But then the panel's like, oh, Sith holocron. And I'm like, what's going on? Because the Vader just said in the previous panel, like, you don't have the Force. And that was the difference. But is this a hint at something?
Or does someone...
especially with who's on that last panel that she's reigning over.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, but I would love to see a run-in between Kira and the Umbaran.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Sly Moore?
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing from the Bausch comic is that we finally have, or at least in canon, the Ubis and some lore behind their society. I thought it was really cool. Harris with pooping. So like, what else can we talk about in terms of War of the Bounty Hunters?
I mean, how specific do we want to get?
Ooh, I have something to bring up. The Ascendants. What are they about? The dark side and technology that even the Sith avoided.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that was something. The fact that when she said that, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, all right, Afra. And then it happened, and I was like, oh, maybe okay, I understand this a little bit better now. And I think, do you think they're going to touch on that a bit in Acolyte, or do you think that they're going to pursue that more in the Afra comics?
I think this is them tying into High Republic.
I agree.
I think, with previous issues of Afra showing the Path Engine and High Republic artifacts, and then now we're getting Trail of Shadows with, a little bit more lore behind that.
High Republic issue number 10.
Yo.
Oh my God!
Yo.
Oh, spoiler warning. We're not going to go into spoilers, but if you have not read High Republic 10, please read High Republic 10.
Yeah.
I tweeted at Kevin Scott after that. I was like,
You out your mind.
We're going to have
No,
words,
I don't
sir.
want no chicken. Man. Yeah, let me calm down a little bit. I think they are tying, and I think the Ascendants have something to do with the Leveler. I think there's going to be some artifacts that tie in with the Ascendants, and I think this kind of changes my view a little bit on Markion and whether or not he's a Maxine or if he is part of an Ascendant society. We'll have to see, but I do believe that the Dowser or the Thought Dowser has something to do with the Ascendants, and the Leveler is connected with the Ascendants. What do you think, Choco?
There's just so many. Well, I mean, I'm partially laughing because St. Pat said. So did Afra and Luke have a thing? Nah, it's nah, wrong tree. But no, I love this interweaving thing where we don't know and we can't know. Maybe. Oh, yes, there's so many possibilities, and I love that. I love it when my predictions are wrong because there's so many different. Like we could have the Amaxines started as a race and then ascended and joined this higher class of people that are pooling their technology and all these things in order to manage to level the playing field between these people who have superpowers. There's a lot of possibilities out there.
I also love, and you may bring up a good point, I also love the interconnectedness where it is not exclusive to the High Republic, where the connections from the High Republic is like, oh yeah, we see this in the prequels and stuff like that, but you go to Afra, Bounty Hunters, War of the Bounty Hunters, Vader comics, Dooku Jedi Lost, you get to see High Republic connections narratively, if this turns out to be true, in those comics. And it's like you don't have to have read all of the comics or all of the High Republic to understand it, but if you do and you see the Ascendant and the Thought Dowser and you're like, oh man, if this connects,
yeah.
Oh, you Lucasfilm, Jesus.
And it really makes sense for Afra because before her, we did not really have a prominent archaeologist in Star Wars. So we know that there were collectors of different things. Palpatine collected a whole bunch of stuff. Other Sith collected things. And, rich people in Star Wars collected things. But there's a difference when you have someone that's studying it and knows that that's not a Force user and someone that's as reckless as Afra is.
Also, I just love that Afra is clearly a millennial, and it just makes me laugh sometimes. And then it's who's this mysterious person trying to help? And she's like, yeah, you know what? I recognize your voice. And he's like, no, you don't. No, I've heard it a million times. You're clearly one of those old clones. No, okay, totally not a clone person. Gotcha. And obviously, who was she talking to? It was Boba, but it just makes me laugh. Her comics are delightful.
I'm additionally laughing at Soda Man, who says, I want to see a spin-off called The Hard Republic and follow Geode.
Geode listens to the Rock's rap.
Yeah.
It's about strength. It's about power. I don't know what he says.
The Vintian Geode is from a society called the Nation of Domination.
So I have a question about the future of Kira post this trilogy of stories we're getting. If she survives it, do you think that she would show up in a book of Boba Fett, like possible like season 2 or something like that if that gets it. Or in my pitch, she shows up in the Lando show as like the main antagonist of both the past and the future.
Both could work. The Book of Boba Fett is also within the Mandalorian timeline, right? So that's only 5 years. If we read something where she is completely dominating the underworld, the criminal underworld, and Crimson Dawn has become this massive thing, especially with the fall of the Empire by Return of the Jedi, that could be the crux of Book of Boba Fett. He's made a lot of enemies ever since, he had that bounty on his head. I would love to see a live action Valance. Now, who's your live action Valance?
Oh man. I mean, I look at him and I think Josh Brolin, but I don't know.
Naturally, yes.
You know who could do it well? Joe Manganiello.
Okay, let me bring up.
I see it, but I need him in a more special role. I don't know what.
In a more special role. This is what we're looking at. Joe Manganiello.
Think of him you gotta look at him with longer hair, where he looks more menacing and not as, I don't know, derpy.
This stream's not sponsored by Bing, by the way. I guess I see it in like his like more like these pictures. I'm having trouble picking a Valance, but I gotta bring up my boy for Cad Bane as well. I think he's perfect for Cad Bane. This man right here. But I do believe Book of Boba Fett will be like the vehicle with which they start to finally focus on the criminal underworld and Nar Shaddaa and the Crimson Dawn, and we'll see, where the collective went when Maul died, or when he, abandoned it and became the old master.
Or did he abandon it?
Well,
he get ousted?
I mean, I know how to deal with a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Did Kira oust him? All I know, she says, I know how to deal with the Sith Lord. And then she fights Vader and is immediately like, oh, no, I immediately regret this decision.
Did she oust Maul with tear-ass Cassie? Did she tear that ass up?
Like, she's got to have some type of confidence to fight Vader.
And that being said, we know that Maul prefers like physical combat to using the Force mostly.
That's true. Cal says, is it bad to keep casting Josh Brolin? It's going to get bad. Listen, all I heard in Dune was Thanos.
Yep.
I couldn't.
Okay, so Joe Manganiello is Quinlan Vos.
No, I mean,
him with long hair. I don't know.
I still love Dan Travis as Fear of the Walking Dead, the Kiwi actor. I still love him as Quinlan Vos. But I mean, I'm not gonna go into like Dune spoilers, but like when Oscar Isaac is like, smile, Gurney, and then he's like, I am smiling, and I'm like, fucking Thanos.
Yep.
Oh gosh. So I don't know. They're gonna keep on casting Josh Brolin and things. I'm just gonna keep on hearing Thanos everywhere. That's fine.
Josh Brolin is gonna be in every single major sci-fi or fantasy franchise.
Yeah, he's. Luke says, just getting Taco Bell for me and the lady. Awesome choice. I'm a chalupa man myself.
And chorrito, macho burrito.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. Remember that? Remember that campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember taco neck syndrome? It was like Shaq, and he was eating tacos, and his neck hurt. It was weird. A weird thing that happened.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on more of the bounty hunters? You got anything that we missed?
I think the fact that we're getting more bounty hunters and we're getting more depth to them is a very good thing, because I think everyone has a favorite bounty hunter, even like outside of Boba Fett. And I feel like this is going to get people to be like, all right, let's get that. What was the game? Like Star Wars 1313? Was that the game? That was the Boba Fett game. Yeah, it's like, let's get that out there. Because even though there's a major bounty hunter in the prequels and the original trilogy, we don't really get much for them outside of a couple things.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they're trying to do here. Is we establish a lot of different bounty hunters, their backgrounds, who they are, like behind just this gruff exterior. We have Dengar, who's doing this for love. Valance is a cyborg with a heart of gold. Like it's weird finding this stuff out behind them, but they're all actual people, not just murder machines, which we got to see that with Din Djarin. And I hope that really does factor into Book of Boba Fett and potentially new games that are going to be coming out. Because now that we've started to flesh them out, the question is why? I mean, yes, we'll get more comic series with them, but
Masters of Terrakasi
as well. Hopefully that comes back. We get a new one. I want a new one.
Yeah. Cal says, look up Travis Willingham for Valance. Okay. So, I see it. Although he's too. I mean, I guess his smile is kind of like the heart of gold, and just like half his face is cyborg, and just fixes that nice look. But he definitely has the head for it. He was the voice actor for Thor.
Oh,
right on. So unless we have anything else to speak about in terms of War of the Bounty Hunters, I would like to open it up to the forum, because the Pod Ones podcast asks, I wasn't here, but did y'all talk about Hayden? We did already. But you will definitely just have to rewind to the VOD to get that, because we did speak heavily on that topic. TriceFX, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Dyad and the Force. I do have a couple of questions that I'm going to field to you guys, especially Chris being our guest.
All right.
I did not have the 3-person layout prepared for a Q&A, so I will just put the question on the screen so you can see it and shift back. The first question comes from Jan Lulick. What is a dark side nexus? Isn't it just a force nexus if dark light is determined by the user? You guys can take that whenever you have an answer for that.
The truth is, we don't know. I mean, so there is a story, and from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back, that is told from the perspective of a dark side nexus, and I don't know what that means, but Yoda knows about it, and it's malicious intent to try and force people to live through these hard memories and stuff like that. And Yoda ends up being thankful. It's like, thank you, you've helped me deal with my trauma. I appreciate that.
Well, Chris, what about you, Chris? You got any thoughts on it?
I would say, yeah, they exist in sort of like a natural state. So where you have things like the Bendu, the one in the middle, where you'll have, and different areas of the universe or the galaxy are strong in the Force. I would feel like a nexus would be a naturally occurring thing. And if there's a dark side nexus that naturally occurs, then the Sith would definitely try to manipulate it, try to find a way to create their own.
Yeah.
Additionally, we have places like places that were steeped in the power of the dark side, and I feel like if it was somewhat of a neutral nexus, it could potentially be corrupted. I think of Dathomir, where they have creatures and things that draw on the dark side naturally. It's not a new or uncommon concept for it. What was the name of the fish that they were tentacle fish that Quinlan Voss had to battle?
I don't remember.
But yeah, I mean, these things, you know, Mustafar, which was corrupted by Lady Corvus, you know, and who knows what it was fully like beforehand, but we know that a lot of its darkness comes from that corruption.
Yeah. We also do know a little bit from the Star Wars book where they talk about virginces. And, you know, Anakin is a virgins in the Force where midichlorians are gathered around them. So planets can be virginces in the Force. Nexus just being another name for it. Dathomir is a virgins of the dark side. So, as Chris said, and as we've mentioned, the Nexus is just a virgins of Force energy that is aligned to one way or the other based on circumstances. We don't know what makes it such, what controls its alignment, but like Dagobah, it's a virgins in the Force, but there's a particular cave in there that is a concentration of dark side energy. So we don't know how that occurs naturally, but we do know that there are planets that are naturally strong with the Force. And then something happens where there's either an area that is a concentration of the dark side, or the whole planet itself is like a virgins of dark side energy, like Dathomir or Mustafar.
Both of which are mentioned in the Secrets of the Sith book.
Yes. Moving on
also,
to...
we got confirmation that Morband is Korriban.
In antiquity. Known as Korriban in antiquity. Next question. Let's see here. Qui-Gon Joe 1 asks, how did Leia remember her mother as she told Luke in Return of the Jedi? I'm going to give that to you guys as well.
My theory is she did not see her mother. She saw Sabe. I'm waiting for Queen's Hope to come out and for that epilogue to be there. Because I know in Legends, Sabe helped raise Leia, if I remember correctly, but didn't know who she was. But I would say that if, with the events of Darth Vader 2020 and the ambiguity around Sabe that's out there, there could be a part where, you know, Sabe was there for Leia's maybe first couple years or something like that, and she looks enough like Padme for her to be like, oh, I think that's my mom.
It just makes me think of that Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? And man, that panel in Vader 2020 shook me, where Vader busts in and sees Padme, and it turns out it's Sabe who's there, but he's full on Vader, and he's like, what? No, originally, as told in the Star Wars Archives book, my big giant red book, originally Padme was going to be around for the first 6 months after the kid's birth and then die after that. Obviously that didn't stay, but one thing that we have seen in certain comics and things is Leia getting echoes from being around certain things. So she visits Naboo and gets echoes of her mom and echoes of Darth Maul.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's what she remembers, and she just knows that it's her mom through the Force, and remembers that, you know, the Force is always with them from childhood. Who's to say that she didn't see something or hear something and then get that image, and that image is in her head?
Yeah, there could be Force memories as well, just inherently being a part of Padme's body. Nerd Connor asks,
she was smoking crack. I don't know.
Nerd Connor asks, does Mustafar have trees because of the Eon Drive? So Mustafar actually used to be teeming with life. And it's been a long time since I read about it, but I do believe that there was a ritual on there that caused Mustafar to die. And now it's just filled with lava. So yeah, I mean, we can see in The Rise of Skywalker that much of that life is starting to come back.
Yeah, and he's referring to the Eon Drive, right? This is all part of the Vader Immortal, is it? VR story, where you are in Vader's castle. He is trying to bring Padme back again. It doesn't work, man. Like, it reminds me makes me think of the genie on Aladdin of like, don't ask me to bring people back from the dead. Like, you wouldn't like it.
I don't like doing it.
But the ritual that you do in that game is what starts to heal the planet Mustafar, and that's why in Rogue One it looks nicer than it did before, and again in Rise of Skywalker it looks even nicer then. Whether or not those trees sprouted over that time period, don't know. Maybe it was just a different part that had trees. I don't know.
Next question. It's Curls asks, is Nihilus' ability the same as the ritual that Vitiate and the other Sith performed on Nathema to completely drain it? No.
Nihilus is the one that eats planets, right?
Yes.
He's the Star Wars Galactus.
So it's just force drain. He is draining the life of inhabitants of a planet and thus leaving the planet lifeless. The ritual of Nathema involved a super weapon, but also like Vitiate is just 20 times more deadly than Nihilus. Like he called out to Sith Lords. Sith Lords answered his call, and as they filed in, each Sith Lord was dominated one by one by Vitiate, their wills destroyed, and he took control of, was it 8,000 Sith Lords?
It was a lot.
Yes.
And the difference is, it's not just draining life. He drains the Force. There's no Force on that planet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
completely different.
Yeah.
And as we're mentioning this ritual, as I said, it really screws with Darth Plagueis and Sidious's plans for immortality when someone 5,000 years ago already had the answer. And I think by the time of SOTOR, when it's like 3,900 as Valkorion, he already has like another version of the ritual that he uses on Ziost that is like doesn't require all of that, like from the beginning of the ritual in Anathema.
Yeah, and it was only a couple months ago that Cal got to experience Ziost for the first time. I'm sad I couldn't be there, but when you play through that area of the game, you're like, oh, that was bad.
Yes.
But yeah, no, like you said, it really does play with that in your mind, because Vitiate was already thousands of years old, and he'd been running by the time of the Old Republic. He had been running the show for thousands of years already, and then he leaves, and then he's like, I'm tired of success, and then leaves, and then does it again and rules another empire for hundreds of years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Next question. Ned Rex T asks, how do you think Porter Engle became known as the Blade of Bardada? Well, in the Star Wars book, they outline a certain sect called the Dagoyan Masters, who are from Bardada. And they They are concentrated on balance in the Force, neither light nor dark, in harmony and tranquility. And I believe, and this is just a theory, Porter Engle was like, nah, I choose violence. And so they were like, he's the blade of Bardata. So out of all of the peaceful monks in the Dagoyan cult, or not cult, but the Dagoyan faction, he was the one that chose to train in the swords, train in like lightsaber forms. And that's how he got his name. What do you guys think?
My theory is similar to yours. He is not Bardatan by blood. I don't believe. We actually see Bardata in season 6 of the Clone Wars, when Mace Windu goes on a mission with Jar Jar. I know we all try to purge that episode because we see Jar Jar like getting some action and making out with Queen what's her face.
Chris is actively trying to purge her right now.
But yeah, that was Bardata, and those were the Dagoyan masters that we see there. I want to say that Porter Engle is so old that he kind of did what Jason Solo did in Legends, of like just go out and explore different Force sensitive groups and learn their ways and live among them and stuff like that. And I could see him already being trained as a Jedi, saying like, hey, because he even talks like, oh, I lived as a poet and a philosopher. And I mean, I may also be thinking of Vandal Savage, but I believe he said that Vandal Savage did something very similar in Justice League Doom. But yeah, I could see a case where he's with these peaceful masters and then something happens. Crap starts hitting the fan and they don't know how to fight. They are passive users in the Force. And I could see him standing up and being like, fine, I'll do it myself. And, Blade of Bardata.
There you go. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, that was actually kind of similar to what I was thinking. I was thinking just kind of like how Geralt of Rivia is known as the Butcher of Blaviken, and it's just like, he did butcher them, but like they had it coming.
Circumstances, yeah.
Right.
Context is
He had it coming. You got yourself to blame. I love Chicago. All right.
I was going to say we're gonna break out in Chicago now. But yeah. So
oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, sorry.
Nicole, if Nicole's not here, she's gonna be upset she missed that part. But yeah, no, I think it'd just be circumstances like that where he's like, please surrender. No, all right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, last question from Commander Scythe. Do you think there will ever be an end to the toxicity in the Star Wars fandom, and what do you think the root of the problem is? That's
I'll take this.
Go for it, Chris.
No, that's the short answer. No, there won't be, and the reason why is because if the OG fans taught us anything, it's because people get possessive and entitled, and they get obsessive over something, not in the sense of like, oh yeah, like I love this, but it's just like, no, this is mine. Don't ever change it. It's not yours anymore. You don't get to enjoy it now that you're coming in. Because there are people that honestly believe that Star Wars is only now becoming mainstream in like the past 10 years. And I'm sorry, you don't break box office records for pretty much every movie of yours that comes out and say that it is now becoming mainstream. And I think with how our society is in general, especially with like the sequel trilogy and the High Republic, where you have you're trying to do more diversity in your main characters and in your supporting characters, and people are like, well, stop bringing politics in Star Wars when it's literally called Star Wars and all war is political. There's just the lack of nuance there, where you're taking this away from me and I don't see myself in it, and this is all forced. There's an irony there that people are missing out on, and the fact that literally Jedi and I mean Sith for that matter too, but pretty much every faction of the galaxy that we see, minus the Empire, is comprised of species from all over the galaxy, and yet all the humans have to be white, especially the stormtroopers. They have to be white because I want my villains to be white. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, it's not going to be toxic because our society is how it is. We live in a society.
I will just say this quickly. There's toxicity everywhere. And it's not unique to the Star Wars fandom. And it exists simply because toxic people exist. So the only thing that we can do is alleviate the pressure of it. And that's what me, Choco, and the rest of the Star Wars TikTok community is doing. We're trying to change the conversation around Star Wars. Let people who work on Star Wars do the creative things they can without having people trash them in the comments and you know, bomb the like and dislike ratio on videos that are just... We're creating a movement, and this movement has to persevere in order for us to at least reshape how toxicity exists. It'll always exist, but we need us, the positivity, to be larger and more in charge. Larger and more in charge.
There are more of us.
There are more
Exactly.
of us.
They win by making us think we're alone, but there are more of us, and that is accurate. If you look at even a Star Wars movie that has bad ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, which we already know that they actually did actively had a campaign against it, and so not all of those are genuine, but even still, how I've actually never logged in and rated a movie on Rotten Tomatoes. If you look, the vast majority of people that watch any of these movies don't. It's only if you have like a strong reaction to, or if you're someone that's part of this, I don't know, industry or something like that. It's the toxicity will never go away, but it will get better, it will get easier, will get lighter. Because I know people that hate the prequels still. To this day, they hate it vehemently, but they don't talk about it anymore because it's just not relevant to any conversation. They're tired of talking about it, and they've learned how to live their lives around it. So that's going to be one factor. Another factor is there are people that don't like it because of outside reasons not related to Star Wars at all. There's people that quote, talk about wokeness or like, oh, strong female character. This was happening during like the Me Too movement. This was happening during like a pretty interesting presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found like there are certain comments that I've gotten on Twitter, and I'm like, I want to see if this person has posted anti-vax stuff. And every time I've ever thought that, 100% they have. Like there are people who their political allegiance outside of everything else is what is coloring their view of it. And so as we move beyond that, I think that'll go away. I think there's another crowd of people that are just hate baiters, and everything they say is wrong. And people will start to realize that. And yeah, if you didn't like the sequels, and that's all that was around, I get that, right? That was 2019. But we've hit a period where there's been, another season of Clone Wars and Mandalorian, 2 seasons, and all this other stuff. There's going to be a lot more stuff people like versus they don't like, as well as the other biggest thing, the biggest factor in my opinion, is new people get to grow up with Star Wars. New people, there's kids that their first introduction to Star Wars is going to be going to Galaxy's Edge for the first time. Or when the new Lego game comes out, that's going to be their first introduction. And they are going to walk into 9 episodes of the Skywalker saga. And it's all going to be one natural thing because that's just the time period that they walked into. And so the people who are appreciative of all the media, the ranks are going to swell. the ranks are going to swell a lot over the next few years. I cried when I watched Ahmed Best come on stage at the Chicago Star Wars Celebration because of how much love he got and how many people in the audience truly didn't understand why he received any hate at all. Mm-hmm. That was amazing. But that's time. You know, he was there. That was their target demographic. That's the only reason Ewan McGregor came back as Obi-Wan, is because of the fans. No one liked the movies when he made them, but the fan base, the love that the people who grew up with the prequels, the people who were the target demographic of the prequels, that love is why he's coming back to play Obi-Wan. We're just going to get that going forward. So no, toxicity is not going to end. Sorry to go on this preaching thing, but it's not going to end. It's going to get better. And hopefully, if we can, instead of having generational Star Wars with big gaps in between, if we can keep a steady stream, hopefully this generational issue will go away.
Well said. And with that, we are out of time for this episode of Dyad and the Force. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Chris for showing up and being a part of this episode and talking with us. Chris, where can people find you? What do you have going on? Do you have any projects you want to plug? We know you have Too Black, Too Nerdy. What do you got going on?
So you can find me at Star Wars Lawyer on Twitch, where I'm finishing up a Pokemon Sword Nuzlocke, and we'll be doing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond run next month once it comes out. And also we'll get that Super Smash Brothers tournament going sooner rather than later, because Sora came out a lot earlier than I expected. And Too Black, Too Nerdy, we're going to get back. We had to really take a break in October because we've just been busy. But yeah, no, so we're going to be jumping back into things probably around the Eternals. I know we're going to do a Dating While Black episode next, so that's going to be a very interesting podcast, because the first one was, and you can find Too Black, Too Nerdy wherever you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean.
Very, very nice.
I got some experience dating while black, so if you let me know. But yeah, Too Black, Too Nerdy, awesome. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it again. Too Black, Too Nerdy. I'm making the hand signs. It's a thing.
Oh, is that not ASL?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the numbers are just regular, but 2 and then B and then 2 and then N. But yeah, so we have the High Ground podcast every Wednesday. Now it's at 5:30 p.m., which makes the episodes shorter, which you guys probably enjoy more. I enjoy making the longer episodes. I don't know how much you guys enjoy listening to the longer episodes, but this week we're going to be talking about Anakin and AHSOKA. We're just going to take this news and run with it, have some cool guests lined up. Not everyone has fully committed, so I'm not going to release any names, but if you're part of TikTok Star Wars and you know people that really love Anakin and really love AHSOKA, I may have reached out to those people, so we would be honored if you would join us. And also, if you haven't already given this podcast a like, please do. It's easy to watch and forget to give us likes, but we appreciate it. And subscribe to all of us, because we love talking to you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Did you reach out to Meg, Anakin's #1 fan, Meg Skyrenobi, and then Anakin's #1 fan?
Not yet. That's an alternate bait, because she's been on the podcast before.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let us shift over to our Squadron 7. Thanking Squadron 7 for all of your support. We have St. Pat in the X-Wing, Kiosco Heicho in the TIE Whisper. We have our Super Star Destroyer fleet with Grandmaster Bale, Harith Productions, DePaul, Nerd Connor, Squadron Leader of the U-Wing Squadron with Gray, Levi Bond in the Interceptor, Masa in the Y-Wing, X-Core Gamer Skills in the A-Wing, Cal4 and Cartidity2 in the Ghost, Brian with the beard, Brian with the bread, Brian with the beard, Brian with the bread beard in Boba Fett's starship. Choco and Arya L in the Jedi Vector. Johnsky, Julie Christine, and Xanatos 1138 as our reserve pilots. And also we have Star Wars Scholar, Mentally Ill Sith Lord in the TIE Defender, Star Wars Lawyer in the Lady Luck, B Dazzler or Brooke in the Mantis, Podwans Podcast, Kenobi in this Jedi Starfighter 2, and Mabe in the Razor Crest. And if you don't see your name on that list or you don't see your name in a ship, please DM me on Discord or through our public Discord server, and we'll get that fixed. But yeah, that will do it for this episode of Dyad and the Force. Thank you everyone for tuning in. That's the end. On to the next one.
For light and for life.
We are all the Republic.
And may the Force be with you.